Hi, I'm Mac McGregor, the Gender Sensei. And today we're going to talk about relationships. What's it like to be in a relationship with one gender nonconforming or transgender person and one cisgender person? I would like to introduce you to Dawn. This is Dawn, my primary partner. And we're going to talk a little bit about the dynamics of our relationship because our relationship is maybe a little different from the average relationship in a lot of ways, not just the gender thing. So, we also have a very open relationship sexually, and we are very open to play with other people many times together. So that's one dynamic that we have in our relationship that's unique. The other dynamic that we have that's maybe a little different than the average transgender relationship is that we have a 13-year-old we're raising here at home, which also changes some things about our freedom to do everything we want to do. And we raise him in a very sex positive way. So we're going to talk a little bit about relationship dynamics because not many people are talking about this. And what's it like for a cisgender person like Dawn, who's never been in a relationship with somebody who's transgender before, in an intimate relationship? What's different? What's different for you, Dawn?
You need to be more specific.
Start out like that. What about when we started out? What crossed your mind when we started dating?
My biggest concerns were offending you. I was afraid to say something that maybe my intention wasn't bad, but I was afraid I would screw something up and say something that was hurtful and not mean it to be hurtful. And I was self-conscious about that. I was very careful. But you made it very easy for me. I didn't feel like I couldn't talk openly with you, and you made it very clear from the beginning that it was okay to make mistakes with the verbiage that I use, and that it was human, and that I don't know everything, and I had never been with someone who was trans before. And you knew my heart. You knew I was open and that I had no judgment, and didn't bother me that you were trans. It's just that I didn't know the terminology, and I didn't know how to address certain things, like specifically your genitalia, or how I was allowed to touch you, how you felt
Right.
comfortable with me touching you, how to
Right.
address your body
Yeah.
as a trans person.
And so that's something I would say to the transgender and gender nonconforming community. If you want to date people who aren't trans people, people who are cisgender people, I don't believe most of them. I don't believe most people are trying to offend us. But I'm an educator in gender and sexuality, and it's hard even for those of us on the front lines to keep up with the language and how it changes. It changes rapidly, and also what a word that may be offensive to one person in the community is not to another person. And so, really clear, open communication is the best, and doing that without, as the person in the transgender community, doing that without a chip on our shoulder, or without automatically thinking someone is trying to offend us. In other words, really looking at a person's intent rather than the word they say.
Yeah.
Because, it wasn't that long ago, some words were not offensive. Like the word hermaphrodite was just a common way that was referred to somebody who we now call intersexed. Wasn't meaning someone was trying to offend someone. That was the word, that was the language they knew. So I think we have to also be open, and like Don said, I was quick to say, and I do this with friends and a lot of people around me, to say, hey, if you make a mistake, I'll help you out, but I do it in a very gracious way, and educate in a gracious way because, like I said, they're not there to offend us, and that helps smooth things over.
You made it easier for me.
Yeah.
Where I became comfortable very quickly and felt like I could ask a question. Does this make you comfortable? Is that I wasn't concerned about me being comfortable. I was concerned about you being comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to in any way And still to this day, after all the time that we've spent together and living together and being a family, it breaks my heart to think that I would be a cause of you being uncomfortable for any reason. And so that's I think the biggest, like, difficulty is just me caring so much about how you feel and not wanting to contribute to the hardship that you have to deal with in this life as a trans person, and making it easier, not harder on you.
One of the other things we dealt with early on is Dawn came from a very open-minded family, and like a hippie family. So she was like, they are not going to care. They're all like, they'll be, yeah, right on, go for it. You know, that she's dating someone that's trans.
I wanted to tell everybody I didn't care. I was proud of what he does as an activist and a human being, and the transformations that he's made in his life, and the things he gave up to be true to himself and be Mac McGregor. I was proud of that, and I wanted to tell everybody, but Mac wasn't used to people being that okay with it, so I had to be very gentle with the way I approached it.
And there's more to it than that. So a lot of times I like to, especially somebody in my intimate life, like somebody who's close to me in any way, for them to tell the other people in their family or their close friends about me and use the label transgender before I meet the person and they get to know me myself, just as who I am. I think that then the minute I step in, there's right away whatever their perceptions of that is, and I'll never know most of the time. That's all running through their mind the minute they meet me, and they're looking me over and they're trying to see if they can tell. And there's all that scrutiny going on that would never go on with a cisgender person. It just wouldn't happen. So if you're dating someone and you tell your closest friends of your family you're dating someone that's trans or gender nonconforming or gender queer, the minute your family or friends meet them, they're going to feel like they're under a microscope and already being judged because of that. Sometimes, and that's something as a couple or as people dating, that's really important, I think, to discuss how you want to navigate that and manage that. I really like to meet people and get to know them a little bit, and them find out, or I'll tell them when I'm ready. And it's also a hard thing is she was super supportive and wanting to share in a positive way, but it's also my story to tell. And
that was a lesson for me.
And that, yeah. And so that's something, again, to handle gently, because her heart was good and she wanted to share it in a very positive manner, which is wonderful and supportive. And so you don't want to squelch that excitement and that love and that genuine openness. And so, but I think on both sides you have to be gentle how you navigate that. And that's something that you never have to think about if you're dating a cisgender person is dating a cisgender person. That never comes up, right? So those are just a couple of things, and this is volume 1. We have a lot more to talk about, and we will come back and talk more about relationships and these odd, crazy relationships of cisgender, transgender, cisgender, gender nonconforming, gender fluid, gender queer, all those cool words out there now. We're just non-binary is the new one. So thanks for tuning in to the Gender Sensei, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, Don.
We have lots more.
Yes.